So, seeing as FaZe for some reason refused to give us an answer on who the hell Twist is replacing, let's take a second and double dip. Instead of covering both moves in one video, I'm going to talk about the fact that EliGe going back to Liquid is essentially the worst kept secret in Counter-Strike right now. It's been confirmed 6 ways to Sunday, except at the time of recording for Team Liquid to just come out and say it themselves. So, Twist is gone, EliGe is in, and Liquid are scrambling to play 5 more matches before October 4th, so that they might actually be able to compete at the Budapest Major with this new look lineup. Let's go ahead and break it down and see what the future for Team Liquid holds. If you guys enjoy this kind of content, you should leave a like, leave a comment down below, subscribe to the channel already. Help me take guys by the end of the year. Also, I'm going to be debuting with a new sponsor in this video. Please check the top comment down below, the pinned one that I usually leave down there, for some more information. Thank you guys as always for helping me push this channel further and further. Let's go ahead and thank that new sponsor. This video is sponsored by Melgeek, who are cool enough to send me their Made 68 Ultra keyboard for review. I am not super well versed on high-end keyboards, so I didn't know what to expect, but what I got was a sleek, well-built board featuring magnetic switches with custom actuation points for the fastest response times. It's also fully hot swappable if you want to put your own switches in after the fact, and it all comes in this fully aluminum case that makes it easy to clean and easier on the eyes. I've been playing on stream with this keyboard for the last week, and I was really impressed with how well rapid trigger switches felt, as it was my first time using them, and configuring the board to my liking couldn't have been easier through Melgeek's browser-based config. No clunky applications running in the background, just go to hive.melgeek.com and mess with your settings to your heart's content. For me, it's been an ongoing experiment to find the right actuation point for rapid trigger on my strafe keys. As someone who plays a ton of Counter-Strike every day, I've been very impressed with this keyboard and highly recommend it if you're looking to step into the world of premium peripherals. And the best part, thanks to Melgeek, you can use my code LIONS10 for $10 off your order. Go to melgeek.com or check the link in the description below and let me know if you decide to make a purchase. And once again, thank you to Melgeek for sponsoring this video. Okay, so let's run through a brief timeline to catch up if you haven't been paying attention to the news. During Visor Playground last week, both Team Liquid and FaZe were forced to make sudden announcements in the middle of the event while they were both still competing that FaZe had acquired Twist back to their lineup from Team Liquid. This happened because FaZe are competing in EPL upcoming this weekend, and the roster cutoff for ESL Pro League had gone through the middle of Fissure Playground. So for the sake of declaration for that event, we had to make these announcements in the middle of another ongoing tournament. However, Liquid are not going to EPL this year, and as such have not yet announced who is replacing Twist. But for Team Liquid, there is another issue. Because they made a deeper run into Fissure into the playoffs, they are now running out of time. To qualify with this new look roster for the Budapest Major cutoff, they have to play 5 total matches for their roster to update. If that doesn't happen before October 4th, they will have to reuse Twist within their lineup, disqualifying Twist to play both with FaZe, as well as for Liquid to play with whoever their new 5th would be. Which is why Team Liquid are set to play in 2 Tier 2 LANs between now and October 4th. One of them is the Birch Cup in Europe, and the other in the grand old US of A at Philadelphia's upcoming Blocktober event. Which leads us to why this rumored, well, confirmed move of EliGe was essentially the worst kept secret in Counter-Strike for about a week. See, just like with EPL, you need to declare who your roster is to enter into an event, and there's no fucking way that these Tier 2 LANs were going to be able to keep it under wraps for long who Liquid's new 5th was. Basically, in the build-up to today, there were a lot of rumblings that EliGe was listed as the 5th for Blocktober specifically. We had nothing concrete. But courtesy of new reporting from HLTV, we now have the released roster list for Philadelphia's Blocktober, and EliGe is in fact listed under the Team Liquid banner, all but confirming the trade, even though once again, Liquid have not yet made that move official. Also, side note, today, we also had Twist come out and make a lengthy statement clarifying that he is in fact no longer with Team Liquid. Also, there's not been a correlating statement from FaZe saying he's now in the lineup and who he's replacing, which is why there's so much goddamn chaos going on. Basically, these roster moves have happened, but they have not been officially touted yet and reflected on the roster pages for both these teams. It's a weird fucking situation. So let's look past that for a second and let's talk about EliGe on Liquid. Now, I'm going to be very flat out when I say this. I think EliGe for Twist actually solves a lot of problems for Team Liquid on the surface. I think this makes their lineup on the whole better, because I do believe EliGe currently is a better player than Twist, but also in terms of role cohesion and what they need these players to do, he better fits what Team Liquid needs and might make them even better than what we saw in the glimpses when Team Liquid looked good throughout their tenure with the Shuhi, Flashy, Nerds lineup. Basically, this comes back to the fact that EliGe is one of the best T-side players in the world, one of the best aggressive riflers in the world, and the one thing that Team Liquid desperately fucking need is a dedicated star level entry player and to get Nerds off that train. Nerds came in and he did it kind of okay at first, but has rapidly become one of the most inconsistent openers in all of Tier 1 Counter-Strike. It just doesn't seem to naturally fit what he's good at. When he played on Heroic previously, this was not his role whatsoever. He would entry sometimes, but he operated more in traditional star rifling roles where he was either second or third in the pack, or playing in kind of a semi-off lurk positioning. Basically more of a reactive rifler than a proactive rifler. Now, it's true that EliGe has not been very effective on the CT side in his tenure with FaZe, but I'm going to cut him some slack. He was not a bad CT player during the end of his tenure on Complexity, and I think we all agree in hindsight that the environment on FaZe was never ideal at any point, where that being the fact that Kerrigan and Rain have become so hard to carry through with their lack of firepower, the inconsistency around Brokey and Simple and that whole debacle. FaZe was essentially never a stable entity for the entirety of EliGe's tenure, and I think that rightfully contributed to some of the issues with consistency. I think that Liquid is a better environment, and I think the players around him are much more stable. When I look at Liquid as it is right now, the only really weak link on this lineup, in my opinion, is going to be Ultimate. Naf has already turned around and played significantly better than his literal career worst season previously in the beginning of this year. And with him, Nerds, and Shuhi kind of split between the three of them the anchoring and lurking duties, with Shuhi sometimes opting to entry and move in the pack himself as well, I do believe that EliGe walks in and essentially fills all the gaps that these remaining players would leave open. You have EliGe and Ultimate as your overall very aggressive players on the T side. You have Naf as your utility player, your all-purpose lurk, and your dedicated site anchor. And then Nerds, who can really shine as essentially like a K Serato type round finisher star rifler, which is what he used to excel at when he was again on Heroic. So big picture, what does success look like for this iteration of Team Liquid? Well, as I said, I think Ultimate is a long-term liability. Please God, get Simple at some point. This roster would go so fucking hard if it had Simple on it. Anyways, with Ultimate being kind of a liability, let's accept this for what it is. Team Liquid do not become a title contender overnight with this move. I don't think anyone should be expecting that. However, we need to see some things be proven with this iteration, at least within the next 3 to 6 months. One, does Nerds readapt into being someone who is essentially playing his old roles, and does he get back to being a top 20 player in the world level of form? The other big asterisk for me on this team is going to be Shuhi, actually. I think that Shuhi is someone who carries a lot of negative stigma around him with how he's exited MOUZ and the lack of success thus far with Team Liquid. If Shuhi cannot make this team with Nerds, EliGe, Ultimate, and Naf work to at least be a serviceable top 10 lineup, then I do think we would have to look at him and his qualities in IGL going forward. I hope that doesn't happen, because I have been a massive Shuhi defender. I think that Shuhi is still one of the best in-game leaders in the world. I would take him on FaZe with Kerrigan as the coach overnight. I think G2 obviously fucked up by not getting him. He is obviously going to be a long-term IGL prospect in the scene, but we need to see some of that success that he showed with MOUZ before his sudden benching. Until we know exactly what happened there, we have to go off of the assumption that something happened between Shuhi and the rest of those players that made them not want to trust him as the captain. And until Shuhi can prove himself to be a reliable captain right now with Liquid, I think it is fair to be skeptical about his long-term viability with this team. But right now, there is no more Twist ego hanging over the squad. You have a moldable set of players that role cohesion-wise should work together significantly better. This team needs to be at least as good, if not better, than what they looked like at their very best. And their very best were those games against Vitality, where they took them to the ropes and their T-sides looked actually really strong. We need EliGe to continue to be one of the best T-side players in the world, and hopefully long-term, Ultimate becomes less of a liability and more of a consistent piece himself. And here is kind of the reality, right? The first event for this Liquid lineup will be the Birch Cup in Poland. It is a LAN, it's a double elimination Swiss format. Liquid are the highest ranked team in this event by a country mile. The next highest ranked team below Liquid are Fnatic. Alright, Fnatic. Liquid at a baseline level, I'm just going to call it what it is. They shouldn't be losing games against this level of competition. If they do lose a game to a team like Fnatic, that's almost forgivable. But at the same time, with the strength of the personnel on Liquid and the pedigree of the personnel on Liquid, they should literally clean sweep this tournament, win every single game, and make a statement. Now, is that maybe too heavy of an expectation for a team that is essentially playing for its first time out with little prep? Sure, and I'm willing to accept that. However, again, we're talking about EliGe, top 20 player in the world. Nerds, who was a very good player last year. Naf, former top 20 player in the world for several years. Shuhi, who was at worst a top 3 IGL last year. And Ultimate, who is certainly serviceable enough for this level of play. This is a scaled down version of what Falcons were expecting going into Fissure. You should be walking away with a W, and a dominant one at that, and I will definitely be paying close attention to seeing what this new iteration of Team Liquid looks like in the run-up to the Budapest Major. At the end of the day, EliGe is still one of my very favorite players to watch casually, and I hope that this is the team and the environment that'll work out best for him. I had a lot of high hopes about what FaZe could hold because of my love affair for Kerrigan, but that failed spectacularly in every way possible. I want EliGe to be on winning Counter-Strike. I want EliGe to be hunting for trophies. He's one of the most entertaining players in the world. He's one of the very best for goddamn near a decade. And I hope returning home to the org that helped him play his most winning Counter-Strike will be exactly what he needs. Let me know what you guys think about this move in the comments down below. Make sure you leave a like, leave a comment down below, subscribe to the channel already. Help me hit the 10K subs by the end of the year. Also follow me on twitch.tv/LionHeartZ. Thank you to Melgeek for sponsoring this video. Guys, this keyboard I have has actually been one of my favorite keyboards I've used in quite a while. I'm really impressed with the durability and design, and would not be advertising it to you guys if I didn't believe in that. Check the top link in the description as well as the pinned comment. You go shop on their website, decide to make a purchase, use my code LIONS10 for $10 off. Thank you to Melgeek. Thank you to my channel members, Justin, Jesse Furley, Milan Berta, Bubblesj, Dr. Cocktor, Patatas Kaftesi, PTR, B1Games, Cody Foxworthy, Justin Vegt, Flashbangs, Tell Me Right, Rowdy, LBKcs, Snax Enjoyer, Crunchy Water, Zerotwocs, drudenae, chron, Gano, Zyro, Devvrat Singh, and Clyde Mead. If you want to become a channel member, you can do so in the description down below. $5 a month to get me videos. This was a customer on our community Discord. See you guys soon in another video. Peace.